Hello, and welcome to this HelloID overview video. In this video, we would like to give you a conceptual overview of the three modules in HelloID. Then we will demo these functionalities. We will cover provisioning, service automation, and access management, all in HelloID. Let's get started with a conceptual overview of these three modules in HelloID. Please note that this video is 30 minutes long and covers all the modules within HelloID. We also have shorter videos covering each module separately. Let's get started with HelloID provisioning. Here on the right, you have all the items the IT department is responsible for. IT infrastructure like the Active Directory, Azure AD, business applications, and Google. But it also has IT services like laptops, phone systems, mobile devices, and other items that employees need to perform their jobs. When an employee joins the company, transfers to another department or job, or leaves the company, it will have an effect on the IT infrastructure and services, and IT personnel must make manual changes in the network. Employee records are maintained in the HR system. The HR system can be single source of truth for the employee onboarding, offboarding, and transfers within the organization. The source can also be a planning system, a student information system, CRM, HIS, and flexible management system. It doesn't really matter as long as the employee information is electronically available and can be used as a source system for the employee onboarding, offboarding, and transferring within the organization. The most commonly used system is the HR system. With HelloID, we can connect the HR system to the network. We can read the information from the HR system and transfer that information to the network. HelloID will create user accounts, set access rights, send tickets to the service desks to enroll a tablet or phone. Simply put, HelloID automates all the IT department actions that need to be executed based on an employee change. This automation will make everyone happy. It's fast, efficient, thorough, and above all, it will make the network more secure. HelloID is a standard out-of-the-box as well as 100% pure cloud product. Tools Forever started developing this as the third-generation identity management product. First, we developed UMRA, then IAM. And now we have HelloID available. With HelloID, we release a new version on the last Sunday of every month for thousands of our customers worldwide. HelloID is standard software. However, we know that every customer has specific identity management needs. So we have standardized the common elements. Then we catch the specifics per customer in scenarios. Specific scenarios are username convention, OU structure, group memberships, how accounts need to be managed in ERP or school systems, etc. This means that a customer's specific needs are managed via scenarios. The scenarios in HelloID determine how user accounts are being managed in a particular network. Another important element is access governance, also referred to as RBAC, Role-Based Action Control, ABAC, Authorization Matrix, Authorization Management, but they actually all boil down to the same thing. Organizations want to transition what someone does in the organization into the corresponding access rights in the network. The department, role, function, or job title transfers into particular access rights in the network. So depending on the role or job title, the employee will get specific access in the network. You want to automate that process, and you want to do that as simply as possible. The main purpose of the provisioning module in HelloID is to automate the whole user lifecycle management and to make this process more efficient and more compliant. Provisioning is the first module in HelloID. We focus on automating as much as we can. However, 100% automation is not always possible because not all information is stored in the HR system. For example, who takes care of another employee's tasks when that employee is sick or on vacation? Specific employee roles that are not managed by the HR system, temporary workers, and many more. These requests usually end up at the help desk. The help desk then needs to manually process those changes in the network. In HelloID, we offer an additional input flow next to the provisioning process. Information that is not in the HR system can be fed into HelloID via a delegated web interface. The web interface is easy to use. You don't need admin privileges or IT knowledge, and every change is executed via a defined procedure, and it is all logged in real time. This web interface is so simple to use that you can delegate it to an IT coordinator per location in the company or even delegate it into the organization to the end user or a manager. You can also use an advanced workflow system. So if an employee or a manager is requesting a costly license, you can set an approval on top of that, or there might be a request for sensitive data access that you also want to be able to approve that request. When the request is approved, the task is immediately executed by HelloID service automation in the network without the intervention of any IT employee. Quick, safe, and compliant. The end user does not have to wait, and they will see an immediate effect. The best thing is that you can put any item in the HelloID shop. Create a temporary account, set access rights in a business application like Salesforce, request and start a virtual machine, anything that can be automated. This was the second module in HelloID, Service Automation. The last and third module is Access Management. What we have seen is that employees want easy access to different applications. Those applications can be in the cloud, or they can also be on-premise, made available via a Citrix portal, RD Web, or AWS. It is very common that people want to have one password and an SSO single sign-on. They don't want to log into each and every application. They also don't want to remember every URL and how to access the application that they need there. So, we have created a single portal with a simple overview of all the applications that an end user can use, and there is one single point of entry. So the end user only needs to identify themselves once, and then they have access to all the relevant applications. Another item is that you want to secure this single point of entry. You want to make sure that you are dealing with the correct user, so you want to introduce a second factor, an extra layer to protect all your valuable business applications. We can do that with different kinds of hard or soft tokens. With HelloID, we focus on a lowest possible TOC while keeping the investment as low as possible. We do this by integrating with industry open standards like FIDO2 and Oath. There are many low-cost manufacturers like YubiKey and Token2 that create hardware tokens for the lowest possible price. We also offer a free soft token on iOS and Android, including Push to Verify. And of course, we integrate free of charge with email, SMS, and Radius to leverage existing two factors. So the first module we're going to demo is Access Management. Let's go to the HelloID portal. This is the login screen of HelloID, and now we can identify ourselves against HelloID or to any alternative identity provider, for example, Active Directory. We identify ourselves with a username and password. Now, as an end user, we have the option to identify ourselves with a two-factor, and we can choose the one that is the most convenient. For this example, we will take the FIDO2 token. Let's generate a key and log in. It's important to know that the look and feel, as well as any part of the login process, can be configured by the admin, so it fits with the company brand and look. Also, the admin can set the type of available two factors and how an end user must or can log in. So now we have identified ourselves and we are logged into the HelloID portal. We can only see the applications that we require to perform our role in the organization. We don't see the apps we do not need or don't have access to. This is clean and simple. Now we choose what application we'd like to start. Of course, we'll be redirected to the application and SSO'd into the application. If we go back to the overview in the portal, we can make any other selection. We just showed you a standard SSO integration. Another form is that an application offers you a choice. The first option might be a login via the old-fashioned way with the username and password for the application. Via this route, we have to identify ourselves with another two-factor presented by the manufacturer of this application. With the second option, we can choose to identify ourselves with HelloID. This app trusts HelloID, and we don't have to re-log in or use another second factor. So now we are automatically logged into this application. Quick and easy. Let's go back to the portal. We can also easily start up Citrix. Citrix is fully protected by HelloID, including the two-factor. There are no other routes to gain access to Citrix other than via HelloID. From here, we just start up Citrix, desktop, and now I have access, including single sign-on, into the Windows environment. And again, we can make a choice to go into any application we'd like. The next module we'd like to demo is Service Automation. Service Automation is designed to automate IT help desk tasks as much as possible and to give employees easy access to IT resources. Let's switch over to the Service Automation section. Here is the portal that an end user would access to request items they want to be made available to them by the IT department. We, as the end user, have different options to choose from in this IT shop. We can apply filtering, so we only want to see applications we can request access to, or we only want to see the file shares. We can filter the applications that are being approved for us to use as well as the ones we have access to. So in this overview, we have access to 7 applications. The nice thing is that not only can we see this as an end user, but our manager has the same overview. Let's switch over to the manager, who is Amir Atkinson. So now we are logged in as Amir. We go to Manage Users. These are the employees working in his department. Here is Cheered Sinan. Here we can see the same overview we just saw as an end user. So the applications on the list are the same. As a manager, we can see what Cheered Sinan has access to. We can also see the risk-full applications, as well as the price for the applications, how many licenses are being used, and how many licenses are still available. We can also return the application for Cheered, and we have the option to change the return date for the application. Let's suppose this is temporary access for Cheered Sinan for the finance application. It's a high-risk application, and perhaps we want to change the return date so Cheered Sinan only has access to this application for 2 days. We can also choose to return it immediately by clicking on this option. Of course, Cheered Sinan can return the application himself as well, but we've noticed that end users don't usually do that, and it results in access rights and license accumulation in the network. Let's switch back to the end user, Cheered Sinan. We are back in the portal logged in as Cheered. Now, Cheered can request access to an application. So, for example, he wants to have access to Visio. Before he requests access to Visio, he can see how many licenses are still available for the organization, 25. And he can see the approximate price for the application and that there is a time limit on this application. This one is set to days, but it can also be set in hours or in minutes. Cheered can only have Visio for a maximum of 10 days. But let's say he only needs it for 8 days. Now this request is being sent to his manager, and the manager can approve or deny the Visio request. Let's switch back to the manager, Amir. Amir will see that there is a request by Cheered who needs Visio for a demo. Of course, this request is also sent to Amir via an email. Let's take a look at the email application, and here you can see the request. Cheered wants to have access to Visio for 8 days, and of course Amir can deny or approve this request. Let's handle this request. We switch back to the inbox, and now we can deny or approve. We approve it, but say this is okay for 2 days. So instead of 8 days, he gets it for just 2 days. Now it's being approved, and Cheered will have access to Visio. Let's go back to what Cheered sees on his end. Now you can see that it's approved, and that Cheered Sinan will get access to Visio. The best news is that this all happened without any work or effort by the IT help desk. The help desk does not have to do anything. The end user can request, and the manager can approve, as well as any other workflow sequence that applies. Another nice thing is that we also have integrated this portal into other portals. Because, as you can imagine, you do not want to introduce another new portal for the end user. Let's take a look at this as part of an IT help desk application, TopDesk. This is the native TopDesk overview. We can choose the default manual route by creating a help desk ticket. Of course, this ticket needs to be manually processed by the help desk. However, we can also choose the HelloID route. This tile is created by Tools Forever, and we have the exact same overview as Cheered had in HelloID, and now it's part of TopDesk. As an end user, we think we're still in TopDesk, so we don't need to learn a new interface. An extra option is that HelloID also automatically creates tickets. So we go to My Requests, look for the closed tickets, and here you can see the request we just performed. Cheered's request for access to and the approval by Amir Atkinson. So there's a full cycle you can trace in the help desk system. Now, let's demo the last and most powerful module in HelloID. This is provisioning. We switch over to the admin portal. Here, we are in the provisioning section of the admin portal in HelloID. This is the overview, and here we can show you how provisioning works. You can connect any source system to HelloID, like an HR system, student information system, web API, SQL database, or even a CSV file. HelloID will import the source data into the HelloID Identity Vault. The vault is labeled as Persons. Based upon the person's information, you can define business rules. The business rules determine who gets access to what target application. Business rules are based on the attributes of a person, like the job title, department, location, or whatever attribute is in the vault. Access to a target system can be the creation of a user account or setting of an access right. Let's start with the source system section. Here we have an HR system connected with 48 people. We want to create a new person in this HR system. We switch over to the HR system and create a new employee. We already typed it in, John Olson, and now he will be active in the ICT department as a software consultant, and Amir Atkinson will be his manager. Let's create this new employee. And now the employee is created. We can double check if he is correctly created. We switch back to HelloID, go to the source system again, and run the import. Of course, this can be scheduled, but now we will force the import and scan the HR system for changes. Here you can see that it went from 48 to 49. John has been imported into the HelloID vault. We search for John, and here he is, John Olson. You can also see that the data has been imported from the HR system into the HelloID vault. Let's double check that everything is correct. John has an active contract for the ICT department as a software consultant, and Amir Atkinson is his manager. If we go back to the overview, we can see that we imported John from the HR system, and we verified that John was correctly imported into the HelloID vault. The next step is that depending on John's specific attributes, certain business rules will be applied. Let's go into the business rules section. Here are the business rules that are defined in this HelloID configuration. A business rule consists of two elements. First, the scope of the rule. We can show you the scope by selecting this rule that applies for the ICT department. Here on the right, you see who is a member of the ICT department. Per rule, you can set who is in the scope of the rule based on the attributes of the users. Of course, John is a member of this list. The second element of the rule are the entitlements that apply for the users that are in the scope of the rule. Entitlements are user accounts or access rights in target systems. Let's take a look at the configuration of this rule. Every rule has two elements. First are the conditions that set the scope of the rule. In this case, any user with an active contract working for the ICT department is in scope, and we can see who is in scope, and again, this should include Mr. Olson. So the first part is the scope. The second part are the entitlements. All users that are in scope will get these entitlements, and the entitlements here are 3 group memberships. These 3 group memberships will be set for everybody who's working for the ICT department. We can make modifications to these entitlement settings. We can remove groups or add additional groups, but the best thing is that we can give access to any connected HelloID target system. So based on the scope of this role, we can configure this so that these ICT users will get access to any other system that is connected as a target system to HelloID. Here we can select the target system and configure the type of access the in-scope user will get. Of course, we can also add new target systems to HelloID. Once we have added a target system, we can modify the applicable business rules and make sure that the users that need access to the newly added system get that access. We can also add some additional groups to this rule. Let's save and publish. Now we rerun the provisioning engine. The modifications in the business rule will be applied to every person in the ICT department. A very powerful yet simple to use mechanism. Let's cancel these changes so they won't be applied. Now the last step. The connected target systems. We already saw this connected system overview in the business rule, but let's go on the on-premise Active Directory to see if John Olson's account was created. There are multiple options that can be configured, but we can also see the audit log, and there we can see what happened with, for example, John Olson in the Active Directory. You can see that the account was created, enabled, moved to the correct OU, and that the group memberships have been set. Let's switch over to the Active Directory and verify that the modifications actually happened. Here is our environment. We can search for the new user, John Olson. This user was created solely via HelloID provisioning in the Active Directory with the correct account, with Amir Atkinson as his manager, and the corresponding groups are set because he is a member of the ICT department. This was completely automated here, and also in all the other target systems that are connected to HelloID for this particular instance. Thank you so much for watching. We know this was a longer demo than usual, but we covered all three modules: provisioning, service automation, and access management. These three powerhouses combine into one identity ecosystem. Have a wonderful day.